I'm a big like toucher, like I'm a big hugger.
I feel similarly. So I'm like, dang it, like
it's hard.
Give you the elbow if anything.
It's been such a weird thing to get used to that because I'm more of like a grab and hug and.
This pandemic has been causing panic in nearly every single aspect of our society. And this panic is actually coming into our homes because our home is supposed to be a place of safety and solitude, of shelter. And we put so much trust in these homes. Well, what happens when the very things that are warm and safe cease to do that for us? In this time of crisis, our home is in jeopardy. And my friend Zach is in the middle of all this as a real estate agent.
Oh, man. Well, as of right now, things are actually just heated up quite a bit, just because people are pretty much freaking out. People who plan to sell at some point this year are just kind of expediting that process.
They want to sell right now before the market crashes.
Exactly. So right now it's very hot. We have had more pendings, more homes going listed in the last 2 weeks than we've had all last month.
Wow.
However, that's gonna quickly drop, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And so as people continue to lose their jobs, real estate, I think it's gonna crash really hard in the next month or so.
Dang. So what do you make of that? What are the challenges with that? What are some of the opportunities when it comes to a real estate crash?
Right. So opportunities, if you have capital, it's a great time to scoop up some homes. But the majority of people don't have that kind of capital, obviously. So it's honestly just more of a negative, I think, for the general public. A lot of people are just going to end up foreclosing on their homes, and people won't be able to pay their mortgage payments. So it's very scary for the majority, at least of my clients that I'm working with. It's a very scary time for them.
Yeah, because most of them are kind of doing it out of necessity to survive, as opposed to seizing an opportunity.
Exactly.
So something that I should say about Zach is that Zach is a jack of all trades. Not only has he done the whole real estate thing, but he actually also studied psychology and even has plans to go on to the seminary at some point into the future. So all this to say that while Zach does know the real estate market, he actually knows quite a bit about being human.
Yes, definitely. Obviously, dealing with people's emotions is the biggest thing in real estate. Real estate agents have their own thing where they have a joke where we're everyone's personal free counselor as well with every transaction. Yeah. Obviously, buying a home is a big purchase, and so dealing with those emotions is key to be successful in this business. It has helped quite a bit. Just kind of reeling people back into the reality, just keeping it day by day. Really just not trying to be, okay, well, today this is what the facts are today. We'll worry about tomorrow when it comes. Okay. And just keeping them centered in that and having them just focus on what they're grateful for. The fact that a lot of them, like I said, are working. So just making them, well, right now you're working. This can blow over next month, and just reminding them of to stay in the present and just be grateful for what we have and for what they have.
When you're giving this type of advice, how are they responding? Does it even like register, or does it kind of go in one ear out the other?
I feel like it just kind of goes in one ear out the other. I think, like I said, they want me to tell them what's going to happen with the market, and I can't. Yeah. There's patterns obviously, and I can tell them the patterns. I can tell them right now the market's doing amazing. But if we're being realistic, that won't be the case, and so I think we're just all looking for something. Obviously, I have one client who is a Christian, and so it's easier to speak with them because we can connect, and obviously just a higher power and just a higher source. And so connecting to in that sense and just having that faith that will be taken care of no matter what. Obviously, it makes the conversation so much easier. But with those who aren't, which are the majority, it's difficult because I think a lot of people are just panicking, and there's not much I can do to alleviate that besides just connecting them to just keep them in the present. Yeah. So
what is your Christian client talking about? What are those conversations like?
She's peaceful. I think.
Really?
Yes. I think she's financially stable, so it's different situation
as
for
well,
her. It
for
helps
sure.
quite a bit. But she has family and friends like everyone else who have lost jobs already. So for her, just believing that, for one, she is loved, and she loves her God, and for her, she knows that anything that happens for her benefit, and she truly believes that. And so when you have that perspective on life, I mean, it's difficult for something like this to really disturb that. So it's been very easy with her. I've been reaching out to all my clients, just checking in, seeing how they're doing.
Wow.
And with her, it was just easy. Even she just reassured me, you know, she ministered to me rather than me ministering to her. And so, yeah, it was just beautiful.
Yes, Zach's clients are ministering to him, but at some point, every single one of us needs to go through all of this as an individual. So the question that I have for Zach is, what is his personal faith looking like right now?
My whole life, I've never known what people do without believing in a God that loves them and that wants the best for them. I've never understood how people, I don't think I would be able to do this business if I didn't believe that. So for me, it's just telling me how essential it is to be connected to our Creator.
Yeah.
It's especially times like this. And if anything, I've noticed more people, obviously when hard times come around, people tend to remember God. And so I've noticed definitely like a theme of people almost bringing God into conversations that normally I know wouldn't, simply because there is nowhere else to go, which I think is a beautiful human characteristic, is when we're stuck in a corner, we tend to remember something bigger than us. And so it's just taught me how essential it is to be connected. It
reminds me of this statement that C.S. Lewis makes, talking about how God will use tragedy and calamity actually to reach his people. It talks about how, God in like normal days, it seems like he's whispering, and sometimes it's just so hard to pay attention because we got a lot of things going on. But then when stuff starts to go crazy, it's like as if God's using a megaphone and he's able to somehow grab our attention in those moments. And so I really see this theme playing out a lot, that God is becoming much more people are focusing on God a lot more during these times.
Definitely. And I think a lot of times, my perspective, I think God's always on the microphone. I think it's a lot of times when things are good, we are so connected to ourselves and how happy we are that we don't really connect to his voice. And when we're in trouble, we're definitely more in tune to something greater than ourselves at that point.
Do you think that's true for yourself?
Oh, I 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Which something I'm just trying to work on just personally, and just staying connected even when things are great.
Do you feel guilty knowing that that's your tendency, that when things go rough, then you turn to God, but when things are good, you're like, whatever?
I would say so. Yeah.
A little bit?
I think I do have some guilt and a little shame as well, which something I'm just working on. I think, I've been trying to just stay intentional about my mindset throughout the day because of that, because I'm aware of when things are great for me, I tend to just do me rather than do him through me.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
For sure.
And so just being intentional in that has just made me feel better about that, and just in general. So
in our time talking about all of this financial hardship and the housing crisis, an old familiar song came to my mind. This world is not my home. And so in our discussion, I was realizing how fragile our foundation can be if we place our hope on the buildings on this earth. And so I wondered, what perspective does a real estate agent have to this song?
So, the phrase, this world is not my home, just means a lot to me. Growing up, I don't think that's both my father's a minister in the church. And my parents are just they're a ministerial couple. There's also, my father's also a psychologist himself, and so he goes around doing marriage seminars and whatnot. And I remember every Sabbath on our way when we used to enter church, my mom used to say, "Remember, you're Jonah in this Nineveh." Or just
it's a weird thing to call your church.
Yeah, kind of. It honestly is a little bit. I think part of it was because I was just homeschooled growing up, and so that was like our only time in the world, and so that's why I think that's probably there's a little context behind that.
Fair
enough. And even just should always say, we're aliens here. We're just passing by, and so I think that perspective always has been ingrained in me throughout my life. And it's times like these I think people remember or want to remember that more, but I think it's just always in me. I think I'm just always, every time, whenever I drive a lot in my work, and whenever I'm driving, I'm looking around, and I kind of look at I'm trying to imagine it from up, from, above us, and just how a lot of what we do is irrelevant when it comes to the grand scheme of our lives and our consciousness.
So knowing that so much of what you do is irrelevant, then what's the value of staying present and focused on what you're doing if it's so irrelevant?
That's the tricky part. For me, I know I have a goal. Obviously, right now with business, with real estate, I want to have this financial security in order to go to school and then continue what I believe is like my calling. And so that's what keeps me present, knowing that every appointment that I have is just building up to that goal that I have. And I think for me, spiritually, obviously, every time you connect with another human being, that's an opportunity to minister. And even if it doesn't mean like you don't have to mention God, right? It can just literally be connecting someone emotionally in a way that they haven't been. I'm a big toucher, I'm a big hugger.
I feel similarly, so I'm like, dang it,
it's hard.
Give you the elbow if anything.
It's been such a weird thing to get used to that, because I'm more of like a grab and hug. And so I had a client. I had a client that after a meeting, I went in for the hug, and he just told me I haven't been hugged in over a year.
Whoa.
And for him, it was obviously when I was like, all right, well, I'm a hugger, I'm gonna give you a hug, and he was a man in his mid 40s, so. He looked at me a little odd, but he brought it in, and after that, I haven't been hugged like that in a while. And so I think for me, just being able to meet people is a big opportunity just to minister. And I think that in the grand scheme of life, in the grand scheme of everything, is what matters. That's what brings purpose to my day. Yeah,
and I think now that we can't do the hugging and high-fiving anymore, it's like, well, what other way can we love someone? Exactly. In what other way can we encourage and affirm someone? Right. And I think as men, it's easy to default to the fist bump or the high five or the whatever.
Right.
But I see you and I appreciate you, and like I like even using like the words like I love you or like something like that, and being expressive as a man in this way isn't always something that's very easy for us, at least if the stereotype is true.
Right.
And having to realize that there's still a comfort that people need, there's still a connection that people need, and maybe this is an opportunity for us to grow in that way.
Definitely, especially during this time. Right now I help with a boys Bible study, and so tonight actually we're doing our first meeting through Zoom. And I think now more than ever is key to connect, because people are just stuck in their homes, and people are lacking that connection, and everyone's on like Instagram Live and just trying to reach out, right, some one way or another, and still feel like they're part of something. So now more than ever, I think it's the time to be reaching out to your friends and family, and just reassuring them in any way you can.
I think that one of the most challenging things about the coronavirus is that it's so very difficult to feel safe, whether it's due to food shortages, the feelings of isolation, or the prospect of losing our home. Who knows what's around the corner, and it's so hard to just feel secure. But it's at moments like these that the words of the psalmist ring out to be the most true and the most relevant to us today. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in our time of trouble. It goes on to say that even if the very earth itself should shake and the mountains would come into the waters and everything is undone, that we have no reason to fear, because God is the one that we run to. He is our home. He is our refuge. He is our strength. He is the one who comforts us.